We have Kevin dropping HBAR on CNBC. We have John Najarian, right? John and Pete Najarian dropping HBAR on CNBC.
Welcome. I'm Brandon, the HBAR Bull. Today we have a Hedera founding team alum, Jordan Freed. Jordan has gone on to become the founder and CEO of Immutable Holdings, which has a broad spectrum of companies in the crypto space. Welcome, Jordan.
Thanks for having me, Brandon. Love your show. Big fan.
Well, thank you. Thank you. So the big news this month for Immutable is the launch of NFT.com. Can you give us the rundown?
Absolutely. So we've been building this for a while and pretty quietly, but that's about to change. NFT.com's fate is to be an open source, open license platform, really governed by its users and the creators that use that platform. This domain name was too good for one person or one company to have control over. It really needs to belong to the internet and the community of creators on the internet. And that's exactly what we've done. So instead of me running around and saying, hey, I'm the CEO of NFT.com, quite literally, Brandon, you are. If you're a user on the platform, you can join the DAO, you can make decisions. We've got a big vision, which is that we think that the NFT platforms, marketplaces, ecosystems that exist in early 2022 today are insufficient to meet the standard that Web3 users really deserve. There's a lot of Web2 styled companies that are servicing the marketplace right now, where founders and venture capitalists are the ones that are accruing value, which is frankly the way the internet's been working for far too long. That's Web 1 and Web 2. The world and the internet was never intended to have this number of tech giants and conglomerates, and we really think that a better way to re-architect an amazing social community and creator experience is to really allow creators to steer this platform. So the first thing we're doing is allowing people to mint their presence on NFT.com, NFT.com/HBAR Bull, NFT.com/Hedera Forum, or NFT.com/Brandon. You can mint that as a token, as an ERC 721 initially, where you can own that in a wallet, use that as your single sign-on authentication mechanism to be able to log in, modify your profile. If your profile, that profile is your gallery. If you're a collector, it's your storefront. If you're a creator, and you can do a whole bunch of different stuff in our ecosystem. So that'll integrate directly into a decentralized NFT marketplace, and then eventually be the founding primitive of a totally decentralized Web3 social experience. So our vision is we can do a little bit better than Facebook, and we can do a lot better than OpenSea. And it's a big one. Can't boil the ocean, have to start somewhere. So we've introduced this concept of Genesis keys, but I don't want to monologue. I'm sure those that come up, we'll talk about them.
Oh, it's already fascinating. This question's coming. Will there be Hedera and Hedera token service integrations?
Yeah, absolutely. If the community decides that that's what needs to be integrated, that's the answer. And I think it's the only answer to have. If NFT.com isn't Jordan Freed's platform, but really is a platform for the creators and the users of NFT.com, then NFT.com should prioritize the platforms in the ecosystems that its users want it to prioritize. Hedera is an unbelievable platform. I love Hedera. Everyone knows I love Hedera. And it's, from its carbon negative footprint to its fast performance speeds, to its low cost, to its trusted governance model. Hedera is the first real enterprise DAO in the market. And I'm a Hedera man through and through, but I don't make unilateral decisions in this DAO. No DAO should have any individual that can co-opt it and make unilateral decisions, in the same way that no Hedera governing council members should be able to make a unilateral decision without the consent of the other governing council members. And I think that's a really important consideration. I've gotten a little bit of heat thrown at me because of that, and it's taken some emotional maturing, because I think if I were a little bit younger and had a little bit more of an ego, I would have said, no, I'm the CEO. I'm making decisions. This is how we're running, and this is how we're doing things. And I think that we'll actually, long term, we will get a better, more performant, more scalable platform and community as a result of operating in this way. We are starting on the Ethereum network. And just to address the elephant in the room, Ethereum has close to 200 million funded accounts on the Ethereum network. 200 million funded accounts on the Ethereum network. Hedera today is close to 800,000. I think we're about to pass. We're still under 1 million. So when you look at that, absolutely, people should be integrating the Hedera network. Absolutely, we should be talking about ways to drive user acquisition to the Hedera network. But idea, Brandon, what if we got a bunch of users from the Ethereum network first, and we gave them a really great Ethereum NFT experience? And then what if we slowly introduce concepts of, hey, there's other performant networks with lower costs that do everything that you've come to love and learn how to do on Ethereum with a little bit better of the user experience that's a little bit more secure and a little bit more governed. I think that that's probably the better path to market than just building something for 800,000 people and hoping that it grows and you get a bunch of users that way. So we kind of need to go where the users are today. But yes, we certainly hope to include as much as Hedera as possible. I think we've already shared, we are already using the Hedera consensus service for tracking certain things on the platform. But the NFTs of the Genesis keys themselves and the profiles are on the Ethereum network. To participate, you do need an Ethereum account. And that's how we're launching.
Okay, so what do Hederians need to do right now if they want to go out and make sure that HTS gets integrated into NFT.com?
Yeah, so a lot of people in the Hedera community literally don't have other crypto outside of HBAR, which kind of shocked me.
It is,
like literally haven't experienced that. Hedera people need to poke their heads out and look around. Hedera people need to test the Ethereum network. Hedera people need to understand what's happening on the Hedera network, because when we're talking about what Hedera is missing, there's a lot of infrastructure that we need around the Hedera network. Now, no one freak out. Everything I'm saying is well understood by both the Hedera team and the HBAR Foundation team. I have regular conversations with their leadership, and their grants are going to directly funding a lot of these missing components. But for example, if you join a DAO on the Ethereum network today, there's DAO governance tools like snapshot.org, where you can do snapshot voting. There's tools like Discourse for community members to submit profiles. There's tools like Mintgate, where you can gate content literally on a blog, like on the Hedera forum website or on any website or even a Discord community. You can gate them based on what assets that people have in their wallet. We don't have that infrastructure yet. One day we will, and we're playing a rapid game of catch up, and there's a lot of developer grants being sent out there by the foundation right now. So I'm very optimistic that that stuff will come. We already saw tremendous progress in the Hedera ecosystem for smart contract upgrades, the ability to literally swap HTS tokens in a totally decentralized way using an atomic swap mechanism that a smart contract provides using, of course, the Ethereum virtual machine. So there's a lot we can learn by using Ethereum. There's a lot we can learn by using DeFi and all of these things. And I think the protocols that are thriving the most right now have founders and founding teams that are users of these other protocols that are deeply ingrained in these user experience that say, wow, this is terrible. I can build it better. And we need more of that in the Hedera ecosystem. And I certainly hope to be part of that. Obviously, we're starting with NFT.com, but if we see some missing components or missing infrastructure and we can contribute it, we will. I'll shout out to May Chan and her team at Hashpack with their Wallet Connect functionality. That's super needed, right? Mm-hmm. You can connect a MetaMask wallet to literally every DeFi application, to SushiSwap, to Uniswap, to all of these various different games and protocols and NFT marketplaces like OpenSea. But the Hedera ecosystem didn't even have a fully functioning Chrome extension that was beautiful and easy to use until May and her team came and built. And now recently, congrats to them, got a grant from the foundation and will continue to scale. So I'm very bullish on now we have real entrepreneurs building dedicated businesses to improving this infrastructure. So you can't not be optimistic. Like, we're missing a lot, but those aren't problems. Those are opportunities. Like, if you're an entrepreneur, you're like, wow, like a MetaMask today is worth $4 billion. Like, May and her team, when Hedera is a dominant platform in the top 20 and, the top 15 or top 10, May and her team could be sitting on a multi-$100 million business or $1 billion company, right? So, this is all very exciting to think about and to kind of address. So we'll get there. We absolutely will get there.
Jordan, very well said. And it's exactly what our community needs to hear. So I appreciate it. So I know Immutable Holdings has several verticals that they're looking at, NFT.com being just one of them. What are your other top priorities this year?
Yeah, so we can't ignore asset management. We actually launched, I believe it's one of the largest HBAR funds, and it really is an institutional grade HBAR product. I wanted to do it because I needed a scalable way to be an HBAR evangelist while helping people get exposure. And there were so many people who I wanted to get HBAR exposure to that just didn't have HBAR exposure. So I had to go out. I had to go out and start preaching. And as I was preaching, these people were telling me, hey, it's really hard to get HBAR. Can you help me get HBAR? Can I just write you a check and you get me some HBAR? And that's exactly what we did. So we hold just over 400 million HBAR. At one point, it was over 100 million. I think, given the correction in the market right now, it's probably 80 to 100 million US dollars worth of HBAR under management. But what's notable is the people who are in this fund, right? I got to meet some amazing people in the process, owners of NBA franchises. I can't out which ones yet, but we
can guess.
Yes, we do have some owners of NBA franchises with HBAR exposure. We have Kevin Pritchard, president of the Indiana Pacers, who I can talk about, who's very public about his HBAR support. So shout out to him. We have amazing people like Happy Walters. Happy Walters is one of the top sports agents ever in the NBA, who's an HBAR barian. We've got Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful, who I was able to meet and actually has become a very, very close personal friend and a mentor. And he is very different than the character you see on Shark Tank. He's quickly become one of my favorite people, and he's been super helpful and a major evangelist for both Immutable Holdings and HBAR and NFT.com and everything that we're doing. So that's what we need, right? If you look at the early days of Bitcoin, in just early days of community building in general, when you look at the early days of community and building in general, it's all about net promoter score. Like it's the first 1,000 raving fans or first 500 raving fans, but how likely are they to refer that community to someone else? And if you look at like veganism or CrossFit and then Bitcoin, right? These are all things that once people get a piece of or try, they never stop talking about them, right? If you're vegan, you tell all your friends you got to go be vegan. If you do CrossFit, you got to tell all your friends to go do CrossFit. If you have Bitcoin exposure, you want to tell all of your friends to get some Bitcoin exposure. And that's really, that really propelled Bitcoin from something that literally no one heard about in 2008, 2009, 2010 to something that slowly people started talking about it in 2011. I found it at the end of 2012 and then started accepting it as payment in 2013 and then became something accepted, right? So in our community, right, we're in a bubble, this HBAR bubble. We feel like a lot of people know about us. When you step outside of that bubble, so few people know what Hedera Hashgraph is. I hear it over and over. I'm always so blown away and so shocked at how few people. We need mainstream public-facing evangelists. We have Kevin O'Leary on Shark Tank. If you turn on CNBC, I keep it on in my office here all day long. Kevin's face is everywhere. We have Kevin dropping HBAR on CNBC. We have John Najarian, right? John and Pete Najarian dropping HBAR on CNBC, another very close personal friend who I got to meet and spend some time with down here in Puerto Rico. We need to keep spreading the word. So I'm only one person. There's only so many meetings I can have to do this. And if you look at Bitcoin, like who made Bitcoin? You got to give credit to Anthony Pompliano. You got to give credit to Tyler and Cameron Winklevoss. You have to get credit to like Nick Szabo and Roger Ver. Literally, Tyler and Cameron, if you read the book Bitcoin Billionaires, traveled around the world meeting with their network of hedge fund managers, big traditional asset managers, just to talk about Bitcoin. They didn't get paid to do that. They did that because of a love and a belief in the technology. If more people did what you're doing, Brandon, we would have more awareness. And I don't mean being hypey or pumpy or saying, all of that. I mean, objective data and facts on why is this thing still going to be here in 100 years? Why should this thing still exist? So that is so crucial and so important. I get energy from conversations like this. So I do it as much as I can. I have to balance this though with like, sometimes I have to just shut up and build a business and build a product. And other times I got to go out there and be an evangelist for the product and evangelist for what we're doing. So, I unfortunately, talking about HBAR 24/7 is not necessarily a full-time job. But yeah, for some people, if you can find a sustainable way to do it, and our answer to do that was literally when we were starting the company, I was like, how can I generate returns for shareholders by just talking about HBAR full-time? And it was like, I got it. Asset management. Let's build assets under management. So that was a starting point. That's a big Immutable Holdings priority. NFT.com is a big Immutable Holdings priority. There's something I don't talk a lot about, but I'll kind of give you all a sneak preview of.
There we go. We love sneak peeks.
Okay, so community is probably going to have a little bit of a reaction to this, Brandon, but this book is called Bitcoin for Everyone. Okay. But if you zoom in here, where's the HBAR logo?
I can see it.
You can see the HBAR logo right above my head. You can see the HBAR logo right above my head.
Oh yeah, I can see
HBAR logo. I do talk about a hash graph in this book quite a bit, quite a bit actually. So I start with Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin's the gateway drug. Bitcoin's the entry drug. You get them in with Bitcoin. If you like Bitcoin, you'll also like this thing called HBAR, and it's important to start inserting that into the narrative. So. I'm very, very excited about this. This is, hold on one second. I'm sorry about that.
No problem.
This is something that we'll likely release on 1-800 Bitcoin, the toll-free number, and bitcoinbook.com. It's not ready yet, but it's probably another priority for us towards the end of this year, perhaps even into the new year. This has gone through many, many versions. In fact, this version is already outdated. I've been doing a lot of public speaking recently where our goal is actually to give the book away for free. You just pay shipping and handling, and then it serves as a top of funnel for us into our asset management fund. So if you're an accredited investor, we can then service, we can provide service to you as your asset manager. If you want Bitcoin exposure, if you want HBAR exposure, things of that nature. And then our other offering being, if you're not an accredited investor, would be really enablement and education, right? Learn about Hashgraph, learn about Bitcoin. And those would be paid for courses that you could take to just self-educate. So that's probably another really big priority of us. So if you look at it, I'd say the core priorities are user products like NFT.com for people to use, asset management products for people to take exposure. They can take exposure by buying our stock. You can take exposure by putting your money into our funds. Of course, do your own research and seek advice from your financial advisors. All the legal disclosures there, and then the other just being education and enablement, getting more people into the sector and getting more products available to them.
So, a quick question about your fund: is it fairly well accessible, and are there plans to make it more accessible?
So our first fund was simply an SPV that we closed. We purchased a large amount of HBAR at a discount in the market. And our subsequent funds, we do have an HBAR trust company. Our vision with the HBAR trust company is to build an HBAR trust product that rivals the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, but for HBAR. We think that HBAR is very difficult to buy given it's not on Coinbase yet. That'll hopefully be solved this year.
We're working on it, Jordan. We're working on it.
And it's lacking support in some geographic areas. So our thinking is an HBAR ticker on a public equity market would be really advantageous for people to take exposure to it, just like the Grayscale products. Again, it's a niche asset when compared to some of the other products that Grayscale brings to has in the market. So for us, it's important that we've got marketing capabilities around it, that we have enough investors with capital inflow in it. In full disclosure, it has been a lot harder than we expected to build that trust product, but we finally do have the trust product registered and up. So we are able to shortly start taking capital inflows for net new US dollars that want to purchase HBAR. How that works is money would come into us. We have liquidity partners that we can source through, and then we can buy HBAR direct spot price in the market from them, and then bring that exposure. We then issue shares upon the purchase. Proportionate to the net asset value. Each share is relative to a net asset value of these trust products. and then investors are issued shares. Those shares typically have like Reg 144 SEC style lockups on them, but eventually will be deposited into brokerage accounts if and when the regulators actually approve a public listing of an HBAR trust product. So, aspirational. I don't know anyone else in the world trying to create an HBAR trust product, but some definitely something that we've been hard at work on behind the scenes. Listen, Brandon, I don't know if we'll be successful. I don't know if we'll fail with it. HBAR is very different than Bitcoin. HBAR is very different than Ethereum. So the regulators have there's lots of public comments on those things and very few on HBAR. So we hope to be able to get a product like that approved and onto a U.S. market. If we can't do it on the U.S. market, there's also European markets, the NASDAQ North market in, I don't know if it is Norway or Sweden. We could list on, and it will just make, again, just the ease of buying HBAR or ease of buying an equity that gives you underlying HBAR exposure. Honestly, the only equity in the world that you could buy with indirect HBAR exposure, not giving financial advice, is Hold, HOLD.
That's
which
your
is
company. Yep.
Yeah, it's just shocking, right? Like, why don't more public companies have HBAR treasuries, right? Like, more public companies should have HBAR on their balance sheet. And Immutable has a fund that we manage and have performance fees related to HBAR. And, it's an indirect way to take exposure to HBAR, but shouldn't there be like a direct way to take exposure to HBAR in a market, just like GBTC?
Absolutely.
So it's definitely something that we're building out. So unbelievably complicated. So many lawyers, so many compliance people, so many regulators. It's actually harder than launching HBAR to create a product like this. So I'm doing my best. I think we've made a lot of really great progress.
Well, good stuff. So you already mentioned, that you've brought HBAR to the attention of people like John Najarian and Kevin O'Leary. Kevin O'Leary has had some pretty glowing praises about it. Can you give us any additional insights into some of these top financiers' thoughts on Hedera once they look under the hood and they really understand what the Hedera network is about?
Yeah, so everyone's skeptical. Kevin O'Leary you don't just go to Kevin O'Leary and bring him a new cryptocurrency and say, this needs to be part of your portfolio. That took weeks and months. I started building a relationship with Kevin with no goal at all. I think that's the best way. Kevin's got probably more people trying to pitch him than anyone I've ever met. I mean, I've been out to dinner with Kevin, and he's so unbelievably famous from, his presence on CNBC during like daytime television and then Shark Tank in the evenings. He's in New York City taxi cabs right now. His face is on billboards. His voice is on radio. He's all over the internet. He does a great job on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube. And, people just walk up to him and pitch him. So I took the opposite approach. I built a friendship. I said, Kevin, not here to sell you anything. I got introduced to a mutual friend. And we had a lot of mutual respect for each other, and actually a funny amount of overlap. I went to summer camp in the town that he summers in. He's got a house up in Muskoka, and we had a lot in common. I think we were wearing like the same Whoop bracelet and the same like Aura ring when we first met, and we had a good laugh, and he was just a fun guy to have dinner with. I ended up getting a text message from him. Hey, I want to know more about what you're doing. And we met for lunch, and then we met for dinner again. And we had a bunch of dinners and then a bunch of phone calls. And it was clear Kevin and I were going to do something together. We just didn't know what. So we started figuring stuff out. The first thing that Kevin got involved in was not HBAR. It was actually, what are you building? What are you spending your time on? At that point, it was this totally new idea for taking a company, a blockchain holding company public called Immutable Holdings. And Kevin loved it. Kevin's Canadian. At one point ran for Prime Minister of Canada, almost won, probably would have won if he would have, if he knew how to speak French properly, but he doesn't speak French. But honestly, he would have won. He just lost in the French provinces,
yeah,
which is crazy, but not that crazy. I actually think he'd be a good prime minister. So that it was a long process. So building trust, getting him into Immutable. And then it happened really naturally. Hey, what were you doing before Immutable? And then it just came up in conversation. Listen, we've got this fund. We've got this fund that we're launching. Would love to have you in it. It's a token. And he goes, oh man, I have too many tokens. And I'm like, no, you don't have a token like this. Trust me. And then once I had enough of that trust, I think it was, I'm not a snake oil salesman. Hedera is real. HBAR works. It's used by Google, IBM, Boeing, Deutsche Telekom, LG Electronics, some of the biggest companies in the world. And that's really compelling. Kevin immediately, he's very smart and he's very quick to understand complex concepts, and said, let me re-articulate this back to you. HBAR software. And I love that. I'm like, yes, it's software that solves, it's an enterprise cloud. It's software that can be used by large enterprises. They're speaking through APIs in a lot of cases, and HBAR is how they pay for their transactional cost, unlike attaching like a corporate Amex card to AWS or Azure or Google Cloud provider. And he was like, boom, done. That's the soundbite. That's a soundbite, right? HBAR is software. I think he said that in a couple places. He almost, at first, he didn't want to talk about it, right? At first, he was like, I think there was this great interview of him in Stansberry Research where Crypto Mason in the HBAR community did this amazing, he's like eating a cookie or something. And Kevin O'Leary is like behind him, green screen style. And he's like, H. And Kevin doesn't say it. And everyone's freaking out. I went back on Stansberry Research to clear the air and say, yes, Kevin meant HBAR. And Kevin has acknowledged now publicly. Sometimes he's messed up. He's called it hash bar. I think he said hash bar in a couple interviews, but he knows it's hash graph. Sometimes he confuses a hash graph and HBAR. But Kevin was, it's an amazing win for our community to have someone so smart, so detail oriented, so rigorous in where he allocates capital, I think buy into what we've all built in the Hedera community. So that was exciting. Kevin Pritchard, guy literally runs an NBA franchise. That's super exciting. There's some others who literally own other NBA franchises and Premier League football clubs that have it, that have asked me not to mention their names. So I won't, but they're very, very, very famous as well. And that's exciting. So there are a lot of people who are in very powerful positions who have just enough exposure now to be interested and track the price on a daily basis, to want to know what's going on, to want to know what our thoughts are on it. That's exciting. Much more needs to be done, right? Yes. Much more. It can't just be me for Hedera, right? With Bitcoin, you had, legends like Dan Moorhead from Bankers Trust come and start, Pantera Capital, and really start bringing big money into Bitcoin in 2015 and 2016, 2017, right? You had really big believers like Barry Silbert launching the Grayscale, originally the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. Now, it was actually just called the Bitcoin Investment Trust, rebranded later as the Grayscale Bitcoin Investment Trust. We need more of that. It can't, we need more, and more are coming. More evangelists are coming. More investors are coming. It's taken us time, but no more time than it's taken for Bitcoin or Ethereum. Everyone freaks out, but guys, Ethereum didn't even get to market until 2015. We didn't even get to market as a public platform, publicly available open access, until September of 2019. So 4 years behind them from the feature set. So don't be frustrated that there's, billions and billions of dollars total value locked on other platforms, and we only have 30. Right. It's that's an opportunity.
Yeah, we're getting there.
We're getting there.
But thank you very much. I mean, it's great that you're such a good proponent for Hedera and the ecosystem and getting in front of all these big names. I had my own small opportunity. I interviewed Tom Sosnoff. He's the owner of Tastyworks, and it was a great interview. He had fantastic insights. If you haven't seen that interview, go check it out. But his platform, Tastyworks, actually is listing HBAR. So that was where I kind of got my connection with him. He didn't know too much about it, but I got my opportunity to pitch it. So we all need to do that. If we can get some people that can be evangelical about this stuff, we need to grab their ear and just put that little bug in their ear.
It's shout out to Max Williams, who's creating content now. He's a tremendous real estate entrepreneur. He's got 120, 130 apartments, some hotels, just an amazing real estate portfolio, super accomplished, successful entrepreneur now creating content about Hedera, right? It's just everyone has the capability to reach out to someone in their network and talk to their employer and talk to someone else. And again, that's what made Bitcoin Bitcoin. And by the way, there were people, go back and look at the tweets. The tweets are infamous now, right? So happy I didn't get involved in this chaos when Bitcoin dropped from $5 down to $2 again. So happy I'm not involved in this nonsense when Bitcoin goes from 1,000 back to 300, right? There were absolute, naysayers and people who would throw mud at it. But those that believed, those that were convicted stayed through, right? Everybody told me I was an idiot every single crash, from 1,000 on down to a couple hundreds, from 20,000 to 3,000. I am unbelievably convicted in Bitcoin. Also, that was not a popular thing for me to say. Manson Lehman don't publicly acknowledge their position. I don't believe publicly acknowledge that they hold any Bitcoin. And it wasn't even, actually it was not very popular of us to even take Bitcoin. Many people don't know this. We raised $80 million in Bitcoin when we first started Hedera. It was Bitcoin. We wouldn't have even started Hedera if Bitcoin and Ethereum and those that have become before us didn't pave the path and show us what's possible with publicly deployed blockchains. And full disclosure, when I met Manson Lehman, the go-to-market strategy was, and they'll be the first to acknowledge this to you, it was licensing the hash graph algorithm. It was, let's go to IBM, let's go to Microsoft, let's go to Boeing, let's license them the hash graph algorithm. And it was young guys like me that said, we can do that. That's a viable business. But the sexy thing right now is this cryptocurrency thing. Why don't we do a public network that's general purpose and has applications, and then get those big companies you want to license it to govern it? And, Manson Lehman were like, yeah, of course, it's got to be governed by those. And it all kind of came together. And that's important to acknowledge. We have to acknowledge that Hedera was made possible because of other blockchains that showed the world what you could do with a blockchain.
Yeah. And full disclosure on my side, back in 2018, some of that Bitcoin that they raised was mine. So
yeah, there you go. It was, what a turbulent time. I mean, as we were taking that Bitcoin in, Bitcoin was just crashing in the market. I mean, I remember like the Bitcoin was coming in, we started accepting Bitcoin. It was like 15,000. By the time we stopped accepting Bitcoin, I think it was like 8,000. So it was, it was 2018, spring of 2018.
That's right. So you've already mentioned some big names. We'll go to the biggest name. Back in the summer of last year, Elon mentioned Hash Ledger. I'm not sure if you were kidding at the time, but you put out a tweet saying that Hedera was Hash Ledger. What are your thoughts around Elon tweeting the HBAR symbol and all the speculation around it?
Yeah, I need to be careful around this one too. I have had conversations with Elon's friends and Elon's family. I've not met Elon directly. It actually is a dream of mine to meet Elon directly. So Elon, if you're listening to this, I think you're probably really busy with your hostile takeover of Twitter. But if you want to talk about HBAR, I'm here for you, man. I've always been a fan. In fact, I have this really strange viewpoint that a lot of people tell me I'm crazy about, but I'm an open book, so I'll share it. I actually think Elon may be one of the most important people alive today, in terms of how he operates and what he's working on. To see what he did from, if you just track his entrepreneurial journey, the guy made mistakes all over the board, right? But to go from starting like basically a classified ads business, Zip2, to what became PayPal, to taking the money from PayPal, a lot of people would have just stopped at that point. I mean, the guy objectively had, easily liquid $300-400 million of liquid net worth, probably a little bit more, and then immediately plows $100 million into a solar company, $100 million into a rocket company, and $100 million into a car company that's going to be entirely powered on batteries that didn't exist yet. And there's this great documentary called like Who Killed the Electric Car, all about literally the political behind the scenes look at how GM, Ford, all of these major companies were literally working political lobbying operations to buy up patents, destroy really great innovative batteries that were being invented to prevent someone from Elon from creating this type of car. So he did it against all odds. Elon has lived through, he actually said this today, today Elon spoke at TED, with the founder of TED on, his bid for Twitter, and all of that. And I think it's important to acknowledge Elon has survived the greatest shorting event of investors short selling his stock in human history. No one has had to live through what Elon has had to go through. So that builds character. That is grit. That is scrappy. This man has built reusable rockets for us to send Americans from American soil back into space. This man has created solar panels used to power a tremendous portion now of American homes in the Midwest and on the West Coast, and I think increasingly now on the East Coast and elsewhere. Solar City, which is now part of, I believe, was it Tesla? I think he rolled it into Tesla. And then of course, Tesla cars that, don't use fossil fuels, no dependence on Russian oil. The vision's tremendous, but most importantly, making us interplanetary, right? If we screw this all up, if Putin starts firing nukes, if all of this goes to shit, for us to be able to abandon this planet, which we've ruined, miraculously ruined, squandered this amazing home that we have. Look how beautiful this planet is behind me. Ruin this planet, and that we can go live on the moon or go live on Mars or go continue the species, just continue the species. Very few people are playing that game. Like very few people are thinking that way about the longevity of the species, are working on big problems. When I was running buffered VPN, I remember reading about Elon. I was obsessed about Elon. An author had written this book on him. And I promised myself, I said, I can't abandon this company. I need to sell this company. But immediately after this, I will not work on any small problems anymore. I will not work on small problems. Helping people with their internet privacy for me, or by, unblocking Gmail in China or Netflix in Europe, it was too small of a problem for me. I needed something bigger. And Hashgraph was that answer for me. Meeting Manson Lehman was that answer. And it was amazing to work on that and still work on that. I'm going to shut up about Elon. I could talk about Elon for a long time, but he, I do think he knows what Hashgraph is. He's done a couple tweets now that kind of reference some interesting things. I think that may have a reference here. Here's what I'll say about Elon. How things unfold out of Pandora's box, no one can speak to. That man is he's a savant. He's crazy. I think we have to acknowledge as well. And he has a stream of consciousness mind where sometimes he tweets stuff that frankly he shouldn't tweet, and he gets in a lot of trouble for it. But he does listen to his friends. He does listen to his inner circle. He does listen to his family. He doesn't always agree with them, but he does listen. So he knows who we are. And whether or not Elon has taken a position, I can't comment on. Whether or not SpaceX or Tesla could be a governing council member, can't comment on. Obviously, hope to see it. But have not spoken with Elon directly. But obviously would welcome that opportunity. Hopefully I can find a way in at some point. He's got a lot of gatekeepers. For
sure. And I'm optimistic about it. I think that's exactly what he knew, exactly what he was doing when he tweeted that symbol. So you mentioned a tumultuous time in the crypto market. That was 2018. But with the macroeconomic and the geopolitical uncertainty that we see today, what's your outlook for the broader crypto market?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much information to consume right now. I mean, you have to have, it's literally a full-time job to be your own macroeconomist and just to be consuming all these inflation reports, all of these job growth reports, the COVID numbers coming out of China. There's just so many things that are concerning, I think, and so many things to pay attention to, right? We've got a hawkish Fed that's intent on increasing rates. Funny though, 2017, we saw rates, 4 rate hikes throughout that year. It was one of the best years on record for Bitcoin. In a year where we had 4 rate hikes, I tweeted that out. If you actually track Bitcoin's climb from, started the year about $1,200, and just peaked at the end of the year around 20,000. There wasn't a lot of volume at 20,000, but around 20,000, 21,000. That was the year that there were several rate hikes. So I don't know that rate hikes will do it. We clearly have way too much money in the money supply. This is obviously a symptom of all the money printing that our governments have been doing during COVID to provide stimulus. Asset prices have risen. A lot of people started counting money that they didn't have, right? Home valuations soared here in Puerto Rico. In some places, home valuations 4 or 5 times. That's just here in Puerto Rico. I know elsewhere it's even higher. On average, some properties, let's say across the country, doubled. 8% growth in, consumer price index. There's things that concern me. And I think you have to be careful right now. I do think you have to be careful. I've made some Bitcoin price predictions. I'll stand by my Bitcoin price predictions. I'll stand by my HBAR price predictions in the past, and I don't care to offer new price predictions because I think that they'll be accurate, just probably on a different time horizon than what I had originally thought. Everyone's wrong, and I've always been the first to disclose. I'm not a macroeconomist or a microeconomist. I don't have any economic credentials. I'm self-taught and just like to consume charts and data whenever I can get my hands on them and try to make sense of them. So I think that what is holding the market back right now, though, is much more of a human psychological element, which is markets do not like uncertainty. Of everything I mentioned, what's causing me hesitation right now is just simply uncertainty. I don't like the geopolitical uncertainty in the Baltics and in Eastern Europe with Russia right now. I don't think anyone can. It's absolutely terrible what's happening in Ukraine, and these threats of, if Sweden and Finland join NATO, that, we've got nukes now in the Baltics. Markets don't like talk like that. Markets will retrace on talk like that. Markets don't like, things as small as failed hostile takeover bids from Elon. A market won't like that. Markets don't like Elon saying he's going to join a board and not joining a board. Markets like certainty. Markets like some element of predictability. And we've got too much uncertainty. So, if you break down the word FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, I think we have the most uncertainty right now, probably a little bit of doubt and definitely some fear. Definitely people afraid. There's polls that have come out recently that Americans are at the highest level of fear of a nuclear attack since, the Cuban Missile Crisis. And that these are concerning things. Americans are stressed out. We're just trying to recover from COVID. People are still psychologically disturbed from not being able to leave their homes. There's lockdowns again in Shanghai. Is that going to happen here again? You're seeing these videos leak out. It's no bueno. It's not good. So I think we need a little bit more certainty. I think we need a little bit more leadership of, a steady hand, a calm hand that tells us, you kind of miss that. I don't want to bring politics into this, but like that Reagan-esque voice, the father figure or the mother figure, like a Margaret Thatcher, that just simply says, guys, everything's going to be okay. Our best days are still ahead of us.
That's right. And they are.
Yes, and they are. And I'm a hopeless optimist, probably because I'm a Buffalo Bills fan and we've never won a Super Bowl, lost 4 in a row. And I always think this year's our year. But I'm very optimistic about the technology and where it's going. I'm not necessarily, I can't say that this cycle is making me jump up and down for excitement that this is going to be the big run up. This kind of feels like 2018, 2019, right? It kind of feels like stop looking at crypto prices and build. Yeah. So if you're worried about crypto prices, I'd say don't sell at a loss. I think it's silly to sell at a loss. I think you absolutely have to be focused on where there is undervalued opportunities. And I'd be focused on building right now. The opportunities to build. It's crazy that people still use snapshot.org to vote in governance. We need better governance tools. We need governance tools on Hedera. I can give you a list of 100 things that need to be built in crypto right now. We need better wallets. We need so much core basic infrastructure. Mass adoption in crypto is going to come when we can onboard a user for under $5 in under 5 minutes, right? $5 under 5 minutes. We are not there yet. We will get there. And when we get there, mom's going to be buying NFTs and grandma's going to be buying NFTs. And we're going to have CBDCs that onboard directly to Bitcoin. And it'll be a very fluid user experience. But like, man, this is still like dialing up to a blockchain, right? It's like dialing up to the internet in 94, 95. So improvements will come. It's going to take some time. We're probably going to see some kind of down cycle. We're probably in one right now, right? I think we're still 40% below the all-time high or 30% below the all-time high. But we're tracing macro. So is the NASDAQ. So is the Dow.
Yeah. All right. Good stuff. And hold on to those predictions. I had a similar one. The last time I made a prediction on HBAR was in the beginning of 2020. People asked me where it was going to end up at the year at, and I said 28 cents, and we ended up at 3. But then just 2 or 3 months after that, we broke 28 cents. So sometimes you're not wrong. You're just early.
Yes. We're going to see $100,000 Bitcoin. I know we will see $100,000 Bitcoin. I know we will see $1 HBAR. I know that these things are going to happen. I don't know when. I don't know when. I think certain things have to happen. I love that Statter Labs is starting to lock up total value on the network. And I love that USDC is on the network right now. And I love that people are working on liquidity pools on the Hedera network. So we have the foundational core primitives to start to build a DeFi ecosystem. And I want to be part of that. So that's exciting.
Yeah. Stater did a great job. We're going to be talking about them a lot more on our channel. We've already talked about them a lot. The infrastructure is getting built. So Jordan, thank you so much for coming on today. Do you have any final thoughts before we let you go?
Yeah. We didn't mention, I mentioned Genesis keys. I don't like to leave open loops on the show. So maybe I'll just close with this. I think a lot of people in the Hedera community, got excited when they saw Jordan got NFT.com. And I want to kind of just reframe that. Jordan didn't get NFT.com. We got NFT.com. Brandon, you got NFT.com. All of us got NFT.com. It would really be a disappointment if the Hedera community didn't get involved in NFT.com at this stage as a protest, because the only way Hedera is going to get prioritized in the product roadmap is if my HBARbarians come and drown out the Solana folks and the Polkadot folks and the Algorand folks and the Avalanche folks and the Ethereum folks and really prioritize the Hedera feature set and governance. So this is a call to action. We are doing this thing called a Genesis key. A Genesis key is kind of like having a harvard.edu email address when Facebook was first starting. It is the way you access Facebook in the context of Facebook, but it's the way you access NFT.com as a forever one co-founder of the NFT.com community, a member of the DAO, and the first to print your NFT.com profiles, NFT.com/Brandon, NFT.com/you, or whatever you want it to be. That profile is the beginning of what likely will become long-term when we execute your full metaverse experience. It's your home base in Web3. It's all these digital collectibles. Even if you don't have a big collection now, you will. We are so early at ground zero. And these Genesis keys are how we can kickstart this community. So, yes, you need ETH to get a Genesis key. Our Genesis key launches on April 26th. We have a great Discord community up right now. So many HBARbarians are in there already, and I love them for it. I cannot thank you all enough. I would not be where I am without those first, that's for those first few raving fans. Some of them have been with me since Buffered VPN, and I can't thank them enough. I was helping them get their Gmail in China. Now we're helping them, we're helping them get their HBAR, and now we're helping them get their Genesis keys. And I can't thank the community enough for the support. We're over 25,000 people in Discord. It's amazing. It'd be great to have more HBAR people in there. The sale does require you to have MetaMask and ETH. The proceeds of the sale do not go into Jordan Freed's pocket. We're using it to just continue to scale. We're going to continue to scale, continue to execute, and build a marketplace for creators by creators. Wouldn't it be cool if there were a marketplace out there where, the fee didn't go to A16Z or a Jordan Freed or a Devin from OpenSea, but went to a DAO where the users got to decide where that goes? Should we create grants? Should we drive it? Wouldn't it be cool, Brandon, if you could run an HBAR style foundation, right? Behind a platform? And we can now. That's what these Genesis keys are. It's that governance seat. So if you like the Hedera Governing Council, if you've always wanted to be a Hedera Governing Council member, Well, Hedera is an enterprise DAO. You have to be an enterprise to govern Hedera, but now we have just a user DAO for creators, for collectors, for users. And, the call to action is, before the 26th, if you want to go to nft.com, put in your email, put in your Ethereum address. You will need some ETH upon, us getting to the April 26th date for you to submit a bid. But I'd love to see my eight barbarians there. It does require you to get some ETH. Sorry about that. But hopefully the Hedera network will be a big part of NFT.com in the future. Thanks to all of you helping me make it the case.
Well, thank you very much, Jordan. I appreciate your time, and I'll do everything I can to get the Hederians on your side and get them signed up and get them one of those Genesis keys. So again, thank you very much.
And thank you for all the work you're doing, Brandon. Really appreciate it.